Welcome to Beastcast number 10. Now is the time to strike. This is Vanessa Bolin, an indigenous medic who I met when she was down in Houston helping out during the disastrous aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Vanessa lives in so-called Richmond, Virginia. She is a member of Mutual Aid Disaster Relief, the founder of the Eyes Wide Open Project, and one of the founding members of the Richmond Indigenous Society. She talks about why we should rent strike and wage strike now and stand in solidarity with each other. But first, she'd like to remind people that Indigenous people are still going missing.
Our murdered and missing Indigenous women, people are still going missing. Our Indigenous people are still going missing and murdered every single solid day. Just because we've got this pandemic and people are in survival mode doesn't mean these things are not happening. And we still got to keep our eyes open and pay attention. I am not crazy about that. See something, say something. But if you suspect human trafficking, if you suspect a thing, please, for the love of God, if you don't want to intervene, let somebody know so that they can. Pay attention to these flyers and these things you see on social media, pictures of people. Be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for something that just does not look right and do something about it. Their life is literally in your hands. Everybody right now, if you are obeying orders from the government and you are sheltering in place or you're staying at home, how the hell are you supposed to get out and work to pay rent? And who does this affect the most? It absolutely affects the working poor, the people who are paycheck to paycheck, who are already struggling with minimum wage at $7.25 an hour. Like, nobody can realistically live on that. But if they do manage, now that has been hampered. So people are literally being kicked out of their homes during a pandemic by greedy landlords who, yes, they need to pay that mortgage, but guess what? They can call the bank. They can get loan forgiveness. They can stop being complete and utter assholes and just say, we understand. Please stay there. Pay your utilities. Right now, in most states, there is a mandate that nobody's utilities can be cut off, electricity or water, because the biggest thing people can do to prevent the spread of this virus is to wash their hands with hot, soapy water. You can't do that if you don't have water or electricity. So that's a good thing. But landlords that are like, I have to have this money, I have to pay this bill, you need to stop. We're all in the same boat. And I guarantee you those landlords are in better financial shape than the people who live in their houses. So if we all go on rent strike, if we all say, we're just not paying, and that includes people who own homes, saying, yeah, we're just not paying because we're in this situation right now. So this is about solidarity for not just yourself, but with the community at large, especially the working poor who work at minimum wage jobs. It's disgusting that the government feels that $1,200 per person should be enough to get you through the next couple of months. Well, that doesn't even touch most people's rent, especially if you have a landlord that's insisting you pay, but they're giving trillions of dollars to industry, not the people, but to industry so that they don't go under. That is so fucked up. That shows the mentality of the capitalism and the consumerism and all the shit that's been built in this country that is not sustainable. We need to all go on rent strike. And right now, if you work a minimum wage job and you are considered an essential employee and you're still going in, walk out the damn door and say, we're not coming back in until you give us $15 an hour. Demand a living wage. This rent strike can change our entire structure of how the so-called United States works. We can demand better. There are people all over this so-called country who are organizing rent strikes. There is the white sheet movement that you hang the white sheet out showing that you support a rent strike and that you are doing a rent strike. All you have to do is go on social media. You will find a group, mutual aid of just average citizens taking responsibility for one another because it's solidarity, not charity. And that's what people need to remember. You're not asking for charity. If you can't eat, reach out. Somebody's going to drop some food off because people are doing that. This is a perfect example of how poor people, working poor people, and indigenous people, communities of color have always lived. They've worked together because you're all in the same boat. Well, guess what? Everybody's in the same boat right now, except for the uber wealthy. It's time to get out of your own head. It's time to organize with your local community. It's time for you to work with the tenants in your apartment. If you rent from a realtor company, find out who the other tenants are. Put up a post on social media saying, do you rent from these people? If so, please contact me, and start building from there. Do not let the landlords and the apartment complexes and stuff deal with you individually. You have to collectively come together with one solid voice saying, we're just not going to pay until we can get back to work. They cannot kick everyone out if we band together. We're stronger as an army than we are as individuals. So just come together in solidarity. If enough people band together, I promise you, these mortgage companies, these landlords, these apartment complexes, this thing will happen, and people will have to acknowledge, yep, it's hard times for you and for us, and we're going to get through this together. Fear is a mind killer. If we let our fear of what might happen stop us, we're doomed. If we let the powers that be divide and conquer us, we're doomed. But when we start collectively working together, we can make change. That's everything from a rent strike to demanding a fair living wage, not just a wage, but a living wage, to demand health insurance, to demand what we need to succeed, to thrive, to exist. We can do that collectively. And right now, during this pandemic, is the time to do it. There's so many ways that we can organize together right now and still practice social distancing, still practice everything we need to do to keep ourselves safe from being infected by a virus that could kill us. Demand that our houseless folks be put in hotels, into some of the empty houses that are sit around. Hell, if you are houseless and you hear this and you know where there's an empty house that's been sitting for a minute, kick the fucking door in and take it. Be safe. Find a place for you to go. If your city, if your state, if your county won't give you shelter, then by all means, take that. I advocate for that. I advocate for people to take care of themselves during a pandemic, because this so-called country has been an epic fail. It is not even providing for the frontline doctors, nurses, and healthcare providers that are there. What makes you think they care one thing about you? like when we're having to do that, it's a beautiful thing, but it also shows the failure of your local, state, and federal government that they are not prioritizing you. But what they are prioritizing are big corporations. They're trying to keep them in business. No, let that shit burn. And they should have thought about something like this and had a contingency plan. They expect individuals to have that, but yet they don't have to because they get corporate bailouts from the federal government. Like, no, it is time for your tax dollars for everyone to demand that your taxes and your money be used to support you during the pandemic and not a corporation. There are people who are doing rent strikes. There are people who are demanding social justice that incarcerated people be released, especially those who are nonviolent offenders. Why is somebody sitting in fucking jail if they're in jail on some bullshit charge of a simple possession? They're sitting in a prison. They're sitting in jail somewhere because of some bullshit. Let those people out before this virus spreads rampant through those areas. Why are people being held in concentration camps at the borders and throughout this? Let those people out. Let anybody, and I don't call undocumented people undocumented. That's some bullshit. Nobody is illegal on stolen land, which everybody, if you're not indigenous, you're on stolen land. But we should be releasing these people who are being held in the concentration camps. They should be released so that this virus doesn't wipe them out and continue to spread. We need to push back on all of the issues that face this society right now. And even if you were called in as an essential worker and you make $7.25 an hour, like, really, what's that going to get you? How far is that going to get you? Were you thriving and really surviving before now? Or are you just putting your life on the line so that a corporation can stay in business and they're still paying you slave wages? Like, demand better. Demand better. I do want to talk about what is going on in multiple reservations across the so-called United States. Is that this virus, when things really started popping, people were doing the stay at home. They weren't staying at home. What they decided to do was, we're going to treat this like a vacation. Let's go to Eagle Butte. Let's go out to the reservation. Let's go to these different places and go hiking or fishing or doing these things. And what they've done is actually taken into the reservations, which are already grossly underserved as far as medical care, especially for medical care through IHS. And they've taken that virus in, and this virus has swept indigenous communities in multiple states. The Zuni Pueblo could become extinct because this virus has affected them so much. Most IHS, which is Indian Health Services hospitals, a lot of them don't even have COVID-19 tests. There's no way to test them. They don't have, if they have an ICU, they might just have one or two ventilators. And the Navajo, the Dene, that community in New Mexico, it's just rampant. This virus is spreading. And guess what? A lot of them don't even have running water or electricity. They have to haul their water. They've been living without water or electricity for so long. But when you have a pandemic like this and they don't have the resources through IHS, they're not close. Some of these reservations, even if they were to call 911, it can take hours because the reservations are so massive for someone to get there to help them. We need to turn our eyes toward the reservations, not to mention that 45, once again, is starting to disband some tribes, and it's nothing but a land grab so that they can start drilling for oil, so that they can start mining, so that they can do all of these different things. We have to pay attention to the indigenous communities because for the real, we are the original caretakers of this land. We are the ones that were killed, colonized, tried to beat into submission, thrown on reservations, and now we are suffering once again. So commodities boxes replace smallpox blankets, and now again we're back. Please pay attention. Please, if you live near a reservation, if you know someone on a reservation, if you have any supplies that you can afford to send, please reach out to them and send those things. Help them as much as you can. If you're a doctor or healthcare provider that's willing to go to those communities to offer support, do that. Our people are dying, and we need your help. We need solidarity. Remember where you're at. Know the name of whose land you're standing on in your area. Who was the original inhabitants of that land? Here in Richmond, Virginia, that would be the Pamunkey.
Email phoenixautonomy@protonmail.com to request rent strike posters. If you're in Houston, you can reach out to HoustonTenantsUnion.org if you need assistance organizing a rent strike. Nationally, you can visit 5demands.global, that's the number 5demands.global, for more information on how to organize a rent strike, or call their hotline 312-883-4677, which is personed by experienced organizers. The song you're hearing is Idle No More by Ulali Project. The time to strike is now.